Hey, how are you? Good morning. What a surprise. Here I was just reading a little story about St. Francis to myself, but maybe I'll share that with you in a minute. Oh, I'm drinking my special drink. We're supposed to stay hydrated. So this is warm water, and I squeeze some lemon in it. You should try it. It's delightful. It's delicious. Really is good. So, well, what a surprise. I'm so happy to have you all in my office. I'm willing to bet most of you have never been in my office before. So I thought today, since you're here, we might want to give you a little tour. How would that be? I want to say thanks to Christine Goss. You all know Christine Goss, right? Mrs. Goss, who takes care of all of our youth ministry. She's the one behind the camera today, and she's the one who surprised me with all of you. So let's have a little tour. And we start off, of course, with my very best little girl. And here she is. Here's Grace. Right now, she's taking a little nap. But I told her you might be coming. I wasn't sure when, but here she is. Hey, Grace, it's the gang. It's all our kids. Yeah. But she needs her sleep, so we'll let her be. So, what can I show you? I'll just show you everything. This is one of my favorite clocks. I have to wind it 3 times, once a week, 3 little chimes. And this was given to me by a very, very good friend of mine about 25, 30 years ago. So I've had it for a long time. I go way back. So that's my favorite clock. So over here are some wonderful things too. Whenever I want to summon my secretary, I push that button. She doesn't come, but I push it anyway. So these are some of my favorite things. And among them, this little piece. This was done by a woman in one of my parishes a long time ago. She's an artist, and she did this beautiful barn. And I loved it so much that I asked her for it, and she gave it to me. And I've always kept it in my office so I can think of her and her husband and say a prayer for them. And, oh, what else? Let me see. Here's a picture of me and Grace. That goes back a few years too. Look at how young Grace looks. And then there's my old church before I came here to Immaculate Conception. That's my little church, St. Mary's. And when I left there, they all signed it. You can't probably see that, but it's all signatures of the people from the parish kind of saying goodbye to me. So I keep that pretty close too because I really love them, and I still do. And I always will. Just like I love you and all of us here at Immaculate. So there's some little things up there that are worthy of note. These little things were given to me by different people over the years. And of course, some of my books that I read, and I try to read. Sometimes I read them twice because I always get more information the second time around. This is a beautiful cross from Jerusalem that somebody gave me. Can you see the fish on there? Those fish represent the Christians. That was the sign of the Christians at the time. Remember how Jesus multiplied the fish, and so they became Christians, and so that was their image. So this is very beautiful. I love this very much. And let's see what else. Well, I have my beautiful orchid. Isn't it great? It just is doing so well. It's plastic, but don't tell anybody. So that's that. So continuing on my tour, you see I put this up here sometimes when I don't want to be disturbed. I put this on the door. If I can get it off to show you. It says, I'm in with my feet up. Keep out. I don't put it on very often. Or nor do I shut my door because I always want you to feel welcome. On top of the door is an old tradition. And a lot of the Polish people do this. they always put a picture of the three wise men on top of an entrance of the door. And so every year when somebody sends me a card, the first one who sends me the three wise men, they get put up there for the whole year. So it's a reminder of Jesus being greeted by the wise men, and they're giving him gifts. And it's a reminder to me every day that I need to give Jesus my heart. That's my gift to him. So the three wise men are constant reminders. So what else can I show you? Oh, I can show you this. This is a beautiful picture painted by Kathy Dobies. And Kathy is from our Katie Dobies. And she's from our church. And she's a wonderful photographer. And she took this image of Jesus. I'm not sure where it's from, but you can see Jesus kind of with his hands in his face. Remember last Sunday we talked about how Jesus saw his friend Lazarus, and St. John in the Gospel says Jesus wept. He put his face in his hands and he wept. So it's a nice sign of Jesus feeling sad. And maybe Jesus feels sad for us right now because we're all affected by this disease. And it changes our lives, but we know that he's with us, right? Remember Psalm 23? Even though it's a dark valley, Jesus still walks with us. So a nice image of Jesus today really being with us and crying with us because it's a sad time in our world. And over here, I have some frogs. I like frogs. I've liked them for a long, long time. And sometimes people give me frogs, and sometimes I have to give them away because I have so many. But these are little frogs that I like to keep here. They just remind me of different people and happy things. Frogs are happy. They jump and they play and they go in the water. Over here is, you can see my desk. I kind of had to clean it up a little bit because I thought you might be coming in today. But this was a gift to me a few years ago, and it's the globe. And right now, how important that is, huh? The globe, because all of us are part of this globe. Huh? We all live on this planet, and we're all brothers and sisters. And right now, we're all affected by that virus. But you see, when the sun hits this globe, what it does is it turns it around very slowly. I can touch it, and it still turns. It's kind of like magical. So I have that. And I gotta show you this guy. This guy is Marcelo, and he lives in Guatemala. And I sort of spiritually adopted him probably 4 or 5 years ago when he was just a little boy. Now he's gotten to be in high school. But I support him, I support his education, and we write to each other once a month. Sometimes I don't know what to tell him, but I always think of something. And he always writes me, and he tells me about what they're doing at his house, and about his mom, and his dog, and his brothers, and the corn that they plant. And it's a nice relationship. And I wonder someday if maybe I'll see Marcella here, right here in the United States for a visit. That would be great. And one of my favorite pictures again is me and my pal Grace. She was pretty young then. I was too. And I have this, which I really like because it makes different sounds for me.
No.
And so I can press that sometimes and make myself laugh. It's good to laugh. It's important that we laugh. And let's see, and this is my big, beautiful desk. This desk was given to me as a gift many years ago, and I've had it ever since. And it's sometimes hard to get into my office, wherever my office is, because it's so big. I ended up taking it apart to get it in here last time. So, but it's a desk, and it's a very nice desk, and it has a little pull out here. So if anybody has to come in and take some notes, there they do. They have their own little top table. And of course, I don't know if you can see outside, but that's my backyard. It doesn't look too great right now. It's kind of bright, so you probably can't see it, but I can't wait to get out there and rake the grass. That would be great. So, and then finally, two things. This is from Orvieto, Italy. It's the cathedral there. And I was very fortunate to be there, a good 5-6 years ago, I think. And I was there on the feast of St. Joseph. And that was March 29th, I think. And in Orvieto, they had this very big celebration for St. Joseph. And in front of the cathedral, there was all kinds of people, and there was booths on the outside with food and a procession with Jesus in the monstrance. And I had a nice picture of a young boy who was sitting right there on the step with his dog. And he had a red hat on, and he had blue sneakers, and the dog was a big boxer with a big face. And I asked him, I said, can I take your picture? And he got all excited and said, yes. So maybe I'll get that picture out one of these days and show you. But it's so beautiful because the young boy is really from that part of the world, and he looks a little different from us, but beautiful. So maybe someday we'll see that picture. And then finally, what you can see on top of here, this was handmade for me from a woman in the parish, and it's all different signs of Jesus, and the cross, the Holy Trinity, the dove, the cock when the cock crowed before Jesus died, and all wonderful symbols of Jesus and his life. And it's all handmade, all hand-stitched. So it's a very beautiful gift and made with a lot of love. So I'm always very grateful to Darlene for making that picture for me. So, and then I have my computer. You know, what we do without our computers, huh? But I bet you guys are a lot better on that computer than I am. But nonetheless, here we are. And you know what I got in the mail yesterday? I got something from Emma and Jonathan Church. They sent me a little card, just like Juliana sent me one yesterday. And this one here is just saying that he misses me and he's looking forward to coming back to church. So he also said, maybe I want to be a priest. Wouldn't that be wonderful if Jonathan became a priest? And this is from his sister Emma Church. And how pretty that is, and how good it makes me feel that you're thinking about me even when I can't see it. So thanks for the cards. So anyway, I'm going to have a little sip of my favorite brew. What is it? Warm water and lemon, right? That's good. It's supposed to keep our mouths wet. Terrific. So, since you now know my office, I'm going to pull a chair up for you, okay? And I'm going to have you have a seat right at my desk. All right? And there you can sit and we can chat. And taking off my sweater because it's time to read the story of the saints. You know, it might be neat though. If you would like to see your picture in the chair, you could send me your picture. And when I have this little presentation, maybe I could have your picture on that chair and pretend I'm talking to you. Because right now, unfortunately, we can't be in each other's face, right? We got to keep that social distance. That's very important. We got to wash our hands a lot, right? And we got to clean whatever we touch. All right, so let's keep that in mind. But if you send me your picture, I'll put your picture there and I'll pretend you're with me as we make this little tape. Okay? So I thought today we would start off with St. Francis. And St. Francis is very special to me because when I was ordained a priest, I was a Franciscan priest, which meant I followed the teachings of Francis. And I still try to follow the teachings of Francis, to be simple, to be kind, to follow what Jesus taught us about the poor and caring for others. So they have a wonderful charism. But then things changed in my life and I ended up coming here And how wonderful that is. But St. Francis is always with me and in my heart, and all my many brothers who are Franciscans. So I thought perhaps we could have a little story of him. That's a picture of him. That's kind of a classic picture because he's often seen with the birds and the animals. And he is because he was such a gentle soul. He came from a very, very rich family. But his father wasn't that supportive of the poor. And Francis loved the poor. So he started to give all his stuff away. His father got mad at him. And he said, get away. You're going to spend that money that way. You go somewhere else. And so he did. He went off by himself and he got himself this robe. And he went out and he taught people about Jesus. And he cared for people and he loved them. And gave them anything that he had. And he was so gentle that even the birds would come and rest on his arm, as you can see right here. Look at the birds, how close they are. And the children, of course, really loved them too. Everybody loved them. So let's see what the little story says. Well, first of all, he was born in a place called Assisi, and that's in Italy too, not too far from Orvieto over here. And he liked to party when he was a kid. He used to party a lot. And then he got into the military and he became a knight and he got hurt in the war, a big war that was going on. But when he was healing, that's when Jesus started to talk to him. And isn't it interesting how Jesus comes to us sometimes in our darkest moment? When we're the saddest, that's when Jesus is often the most powerful in our lives. And so while he was recuperating from his wounds, he started to listen to Jesus and started to talk to Jesus. And Jesus eventually showed him what he wanted him to do. And that was to go out and to build the church, not with stones and bricks, but really to preach the gospel. Preach the gospel to people so that they could hear it and love that gospel. His feast day is on October the 4th. He loved the poor, lived with the poor, and ended up making a big community called the Franciscans because so many young men liked him so much that they wanted to follow him. And even some of the women started their own order called the Franciscans, but followed what Francis taught. So he's a pretty powerful figure in our church and always someone you can call on when things are not going great. St. Francis, be with me. Help me to be gentle like you. So the story goes like this. Becoming poor for the sake of Jesus, dear St. Francis, you showed love for all of God's people and creatures. For 2 years, you lived as a hermit near San Damiano's church. A hermit is a guy who lives by himself, has no food, has to go out and beg. And that's what he did. Remember, he was a rich man, but now not anymore. You begged for food and for the materials to repair an old church. And then you set about to build up Christianity itself, the people that make the church. Establishing the Franciscans to spread the good news, you brought many people back to God. By your example, you did that. You had a great love for Jesus crucified and received the imprints of his wounds in your body. So it says, according to tradition, that he loved Jesus so much that, the wounds that Jesus had in his hands when he was on the cross, he gave those wounds to St. Francis. How that must have hurt, but how he really followed Jesus to the point of even bleeding for him. You had a great love for Jesus always, and you started the custom of the Christmas crib. I bet you didn't know that. When we have our Christmas cribs by our trees or on our mantles at Christmas time, St. Francis was the first one to do that. And he did it with real live animals. And he pretended that Jesus was being born. And all the people from the town would come and they would reenact the birth of Jesus. So from that point on, you and I celebrate the Christmas crib. Help me to love Jesus with all my heart. Remind me to show concern for all God's creatures. And let me do what I can to keep the environment clean. Mother Earth. How Mother Earth is so important. And making the world safe for everybody. So that's a little lesson on St. Francis today. And I hope St. Francis will be with you as you continue your journey through life. And remember, things are pretty tough right now, right? We're in this awful disease, but we're going to get through it. We're going to do okay. But meanwhile, we got to be patient with each other. We got to be very gentle. Got to do our chores. We got to listen to our parents, our moms and dads, our grandparents, all those who care for us. And if you have a dog, you got to take care of your dog and your cat and your fish. Okay? So that's about all the time we have today. It was nice to be with you. Remember, if you send me your picture, I'll pop you in my chair. And you can be in my office with me, as maybe in next week we can read another story about another saint. Okay? I love you dearly, and I hope to see you real soon. Goodbye.